with Macarena, and we are going to be talking about one of the success principles, Principle 22, practice persistence. So, I'm Jennifer Hughes, and this is Macarena. So nice to be with you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, nice to meet you and nice to be here. I feel like this is like the best principle for me to talk about because I'm like the most persistent person I know. So it comes naturally.
I was about to ask you, why did you choose this principle? So tell us about why it's important to you.
I think persistence and consistency are one of the keys to become who you want to become in the end, and they're really important concepts and tools, I guess, to teach our kids, because you can be super smart, but if you're not persistent, you're not gonna get anywhere because you're gonna get so many roadblocks. I also feel like there are so many obstacles that you come across that once you get, it's almost like you need to one needs to realize, if I really, really want this, then I'm gonna have to be beyond the normal persistency and that is considered around. I had a few issues with my kids that I feel like I was only able to push through because of being persistent. One of them was, I'm not sure you're familiar with the New York City public system, the school public system. My son was placed in a school that I felt that wasn't gonna be great for him when he entered middle school. So he was placed, April 15th, he was placed in this school that I was like, he cannot attend there. So between April, and I was like, we'll figure it out. We'll work through it. So every time I went to speak with the Department of Education, there was some answer that was like a no. I was like, okay, no to this, but can we make it work this other way? September came around and he actually had to start in the school, and it was kind of devastating. And then I kept calling and emailing and going and talking to different people. And then in the end, by November, the last time I went to the Department of Education, the office here in the city, as I arrived, the receptionist said, "Oh, you're Magnus's mom. You're still coming to try to make this happen." And I was like, "Yes, that's me." So by November, I was able to change him to a different school.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's great because, you know, moms have to kind of be the champions for their kids, and they have to fight for them and what they know is best for them. And so good job on that. And it's kind of crazy it took that long, but the persistence paid off, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So why do you think being persistent is important? How can it help us if we're persistent?
It can help us achieve our goals. It can help us in ways where, for example, I train for triathlons for fun. Yeah. And sometimes you don't feel like you don't want to do that run, or you don't want to go swimming, or you just don't want to go get on the bike and do 3 hours on the bike. You just want to sit down and watch Netflix, right? But then once having like an end, like knowing what your goal is, then that persistence keeps you moving forward and saying, okay, this is what I want to achieve. I need to keep showing up and keep doing what I know will give me the results I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, triathlon, you know, training, like you definitely have to have some persistence for that, right?
Yes. Especially now that everything is canceled. All the races are canceled. So it's like, oh, I'm going to keep showing up for all this training.
Right.
Right? And you're like, wait, what race are you training for? Right now I'm training for my life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, life and yeah. But that, I think that also is a good example for our kids, which shows the days, yes, when I say I don't want to go for this run today, and they're like, well, now you said you were going to do it, so you have to do it. Because at the end, I mean, when that race day comes, then these are the little things that you keep adding and adding, and the sum is going to be the result, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So how would you suggest that moms can be persistent, first of all? And then the second part of that question is how do you think moms can teach their kids to be persistent? So first, how can the moms do it? Second is how can they teach the kids to?
I think I think it's important to have a very a defined goal or a defined purpose on what we want to achieve. And then I think the persistence comes like easier as you go, because you know what the results are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if one does not have that goal in mind or that end result, then it's harder to actually keep going forward and saying, when that doubt comes to your mind and say, is this actually the right thing? Is this like what I need to do? Then when you know that the goal is actually what you want, then I think it comes easier. So that's for moms. But it could be, I mean, I do triathlon. Some people like cooking. Some people like, actually, I don't know, doing whatever it is that moms like doing, I think, but I think it's important for moms to have their own space and their own things that are just themselves and time to themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I feel like,
Definitely.
and that's something that we need to teach our kids, that we are people, we are the moms, but we are also people, and this is like my time to myself. So I'm gonna go on my bike ride, and you're gonna have to sit here and wait for me, because
Yeah.
that's the time that I need to invest on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then for kids, I think it's the same, but in different ways. I think once I think two issues. One, I believe that at this point, moms tend to perhaps not want to show their kids the pain that they're gonna go through. They don't want their kids to fail, and I think that's a disadvantage for the kids. I think that the sooner we teach our kids how to deal with failure and how to deal with rejection, the better it is in the long run, because they're going to be rejected, and they're going to be people who are going to make fun of them. They're going to be people who don't like them, and they're going to feel badly or rejected if we teach them so. But if we teach them otherwise, if we teach them how to deal with these issues and how to stay persistent in terms of what they want to accomplish, then in the long term, they're going to be better equipped for life. So once they enter the real world, they're going to be able to say, yes, this is the career I want, and I'm going to do anything possible to accomplish that. At the same time, the example that I usually use for my kids is like when you learn to read. When you learn to read, you started with one word and then two words, and then you were able to read a paragraph. And so, but you didn't give up because the words were too hard. And you didn't give up to learn to ride your bike because you fell 20 times. So it's the same with everything that you want to accomplish in life. It's like practice is what makes it.
Right.
Right.
Well, I love that. I love that you're saying don't give up, and I also love that you're talking about teaching your kids how to fail. I know the woman who invented Spanx. I know her parents used to sit around every night at the dinner table and say, "How have you failed today? How have you failed today?" And they would just say, "Oh yeah, that was a doozy," and they would just kind of talk about it like it was no big deal. And they learned it was not scary to fail. It was just a learning process. It's just feedback. It's just how you learn. That's the way that doesn't work. Now let me try to figure out the way that does work.
Yeah. That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and then she invented Spanx, and I mean, that's a
yes. And we wish we all did.
Yeah. So I love that because I feel like so many people are afraid of rejection, or they're afraid of failure. so that they even stop themselves from trying because they're so
Mhm.
afraid of failure. So I think it's really important to teach kids it's really not that big of a deal. If you do something this way and it doesn't work out, that's just the wrong way to do it, you know?
Is it the wrong way, or is it just a different way? Or maybe that was not meant to be for you,
True. Yeah, it could
right?
be any of
I
those
remember
things.
I took my daughter, I think she was 7, to a ballet audition for ABT, which I knew she was not going to make. But I still took her, and I thought, you know what? You're gonna be there with like hundreds of kids who they're gonna choose like 4, and you're probably not gonna be one of them, most likely, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And we had that conversation as we were going, and she was like, yes, I still want to try. Okay, great. Then you tried and you
Yeah.
didn't, obviously, because you're not a ballerina. But it's something that, I mean, we live in a very competitive world, and also sometimes it has nothing to do, most of the times has nothing to do with them.
Right.
That's
Right.
also like a lesson to be learned, right? That the world is a place where sometimes, I mean, it's usually about some like the bigger picture. It's not about you as a person, as a human being. There's nothing wrong with anyone,
Right.
right?
And that could, for your daughter, like kind of light a fire for her and see, okay, I see the caliber of people that they choose now. So if this is something that's important to me, maybe I need to work harder to get to that point.
Exactly.
Something
Yes.
like that. Yeah.
Yes. And always put 100% on everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if we look at failure, like, what can I learn from this? What's the feedback? What do I learn
Hmm.
instead of it being such a thing so scary that we try to avoid it at all costs, just like, it's okay, it's just a learning time for me, so what can I learn from this to
Yeah.
move forward? So good. Well,
Exactly.
yeah. So you were talking about also never giving up. That's part of persistence. So what would you say to a mom? You know how it is with moms, sometimes they're just like, oh, they want to pull their hair out. It feels so hard.
Yes.
What would you say to the mom who wants to give up? And then likewise about how she can talk to her kid about how to never give up, especially when you want to.
I think it depends on what the goal is. I think, what are you giving up on? Are you giving up on yourself? Are you giving up on a goal that you said? Are you giving up on something that you said you were going to do, and now you're like, that's just too hard? Or are you giving up on your kids' education? Or you're giving up on, or maybe sometimes that fight is not worth fighting. I don't know. I think it really depends on the goal. I think also we tend to lose our listening skills to our instincts, and that is what we get. Like, it's almost like all the noise gets into our mind, and then we say, okay, I'm gonna go with that, instead of actually listening to what my instinct is saying, which is, yes, I need to keep. In the example, the example of my son's school, there were other families who were in the same situation. By the time it was end of September, and I kept calling the DOE and talking to these people, the person I was speaking said, you know what, from all the families who started wanting to change their kids to other schools, you're the only one left, because school already started, and parents are like, oh, it's not that bad, or he'll be fine. And then, so you're like the last person, the last family standing, trying to to find a school for your kid. This is something that I was absolutely determined that I could not allow to happen. I could not let my kid go to that school. But to different families, different priorities, and then it gets like almost like diluted in within other aspects of life. So so some families give up because they didn't seem to think that this was as important, where others just, yes, lost that instinct, that gut feeling that at the beginning pushes you to keep going forward, and then at some point it's like, oh no, wait, but I need to take him to soccer practice. Oh no, and also my ex-husband said this. Oh no, and also you know, and then everything gets like convoluted and we lose that. So I think the answer would be to listen to your instincts and follow your gut feeling.
Yeah, that's really true because it's important to practice persistence. It's important to not give up, but sometimes you need to renegotiate with yourself and say, you know, maybe this isn't the most important thing to me. I'm okay with, you know, like you sometimes renegotiate with yourself, you know, so it's
Yeah.
not just black and white. You said you do it, so there's no other way around it. You know, like sometimes you need to renegotiate when your priorities change or your goal becomes a little bit different than you thought, or you just kind of maybe don't have the capacity right now. Like, you know, if
Yeah.
you're, you know, like I just can't deal with this right now, so I need to let that one go, kind of thing.
Yeah. That usually doesn't happen to me, but
Well, how do you have any strategies for how to practice persistence? Do you have any certain ways you do that?
I kind of like have um, like it's almost like a plan of what my priorities are, like you were saying, just like establish what the priorities are and then which ones are actually going to follow through and which ones can actually like be at the bottom of the list. But it's almost like if when I know that I want something really badly and I know this is the right thing that I'm doing, then the answer, whatever the no that I receive, I convert into, okay, not this way, but then how about tell me another way? So I always also tend to, when it's like interacting or trying to accomplish something that I need to convince someone, is also putting like the ball in their court, saying, okay, so you said no to this, so you tell me how we can make it happen. So I don't take no for an answer, basically.
Right.
Right? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Well, I like that because then, because if it involves another person, you need to involve them in the negotiations for what you're going to do differently. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And it's still a good skill to teach to your children, you know, like it's not all or nothing. You know, sometimes that's what makes you pull your hair out is I said I would do this, I have to do this, I'm gonna get it done, you know, and it just becomes less important to you. So that's when it's okay to just say, you know, I'm gonna reprioritize, renegotiate, you know, and not have to hold yourself to perfection really.
But
So
also, for example, when I'm going back to the example of my son's school, I discussed the whole process with him along the way, and he was aware of every step, right? Meaning, this is what happened when we got the letter. Okay, he was like very disappointed, and then throughout the months, it was like, okay, so today I'm gonna go to the D office again, and blah blah. And then when that rejection, he'd be like, oh no, now what are we gonna do? You know, so he already knew that the answer, the no, was not a no. It was like, oh, now what are we going to do next to get what we wanted? But it's also about, okay, so who knows about this? Who can help me achieve this? What person do I need to speak with that can advise me on how to proceed? Because most of the times also, I think we live in our own bubble, whatever that bubble is, right? And then when these like external agents uh, that we want to interact with, we don't know how to communicate with those, then we need advice from other people who know the lingo, who know who to contact, who know how to contact them, all these different things that I think people are more willing to help you than you think, you know?
I think that's
But
true.
so that's kind of like a strategy too. Huh?
Sometimes you
Second?
just have to ask and then you'll get the help you need, right?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's also a struggle that we have as moms, to ask for help, because we need to be perfect. We need to look amazing. We need to be the perfect mom. We need to stay in shape. We need to be uh, we need to be good at our job. Everything has to be like fall into place of this like idea that we came up with that is impossible to sustain. And also we have to do all that without asking for help because we are super women. And then, yeah, and then we are like, wait, I don't know how to do this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, do you have any kind of tips in closing for what we can do if we, if this is something that we're not that good at yet and we want to become better? How do we practice persistence? What are your final tips that we can do?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think it's going back to the roots of deciding what's important to each one of us and say, this is what matters to me, and this is this is what I want to achieve. That's the goal that I have in my mind.
Yeah.
And what are the little, the smaller goals that I need to achieve to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have your results goals, and then you make process goals to be able to accomplish those results goals, and you just stay with it. You just keep going at it.
Keep going
And
at it. Yes.
sometimes, for a mom, sometimes it's just kind of like, just get out of bed, and then, just feed the children, and, just like take it one step at a time. Just tell yourself what to do, and, things will start to get better.
That is true. Yes. That is definitely true.
Yeah.
I think also during this time where we have the kids at home and we're working and we're trying to do this for ourselves, it's okay for them to eat a banana for lunch. They're not gonna collapse, you know?
Right.
It's like, yes, you can have as many fruit as you can find in that refrigerator and
Yeah.
you'll be fine, right? And sometimes I think we need to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah. That things maybe aren't as big of a thing as we thought. Because
Yes.
sometimes moms practice persistence about the wrong thing, right? It's kind of like stubbornness. Like,
Yes, yes.
no, that's not what was going to happen. You're going to do this. And sometimes we need to negotiate with the kids instead of just say, no, do what I say, kind of thing. So, especially as they get older, as they become kind of tweens and teens, they're past that age of just saying, go do this because I said so, which, that's kind of the wrong way, even when they're younger.
Yeah, I don't think that what I say so works anymore in 2020, does it? It does?
No. I fully disagree with just because I said so.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, I've never used that. Maybe like twice in my life I actually used it. I was like, okay, yeah, you want to throw a tantrum, you go ahead. But I'm saying, yeah, I think that's not like the way that we're gonna get our kids to be fulfilled human beings.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I know people that say, I said this, do it. That's it. So I really feel like it's important for the kids to, you kind of have to give them a compelling reason why to do something. They're not going to stick with it if they don't understand why they're doing it.
I agree.
So that's where it goes back to what you were saying about the goals. If you have your goal of whatever it is, that you're trying to accomplish there, if they understand that and they're behind that, they'll be able to stick with it. If they don't really understand why they're even doing something, they won't want to stick with it. They won't have a reason to. So
yes, and I think it also applies to, like, for example, just today I was having this conversation with my 13-year-old. She needs to try out, she wants to try out for soccer team, and I think that actually applies very well to these instances where basically all our kids now are playing sports, right? Or they're auditioning for whatever music or whatever it is that their passion is. And I think that there's a point that it's like, you need to decide if this is what you want to do at a certain age, right? Then this is the work that is required. So you're going to have to prepare. This is other things that you're going to have to do. And that requires persistence, even when you don't feel like doing them, because this is the commitment you made to a team or to your teacher or to whomever it is, where once you say, yes, I'm going to do it, then those are the steps that you're going to have to follow through with, right?
True. Very true. Well, I love that. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I love all the points that you made about practicing persistence. And I feel like it's something we can do and it's something kids can do. And we see them do it starting at the very beginning when they're like learning how to use their fingers and, you know, close their fingers around something or bring a fork to their mouth or something. We see them practice persistence the whole time. So it's something, if they don't have it now, they've unlearned it in some way.
That's
So
true. Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so I think, you know, they have the capacity to do it because they did it in the beginning, and guess what, so did we. So we have the capacity to do it too. So
Yes, true.
like you watch a baby, they do not give up. They learn how to walk and they keep falling and they just keep getting up and walking more.
And they don't feel as a failure.
Right, right. And parents don't say, why did you
Right.
fall? How did you do that? Why would you think about that? So I think we need to kind of just think about that. Just, you know, and when you're learning a new skill, you're kind of like a baby in that thing, you know, and you have
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
it
yeah.
again and again to be able to really get it and to, you know, and just keep taking those steps even after you fall down, you know.
Yeah.
So and you know, when you're learning to eat, you may get food all over your face, but you'll get something in there. And so yeah, we all have that capacity to just keep pushing through even when it feels like we're failing. We're not, we're learning. So
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. I agree.
yeah, so definitely encourage your kids to do that. Definitely do that for yourself. Yes. Moms and kids persist, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's the
Yeah,
way to move forward.
that's right. Well, Macarena, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today. And thank you for all the wisdom that you've shared.
Thank you. It was really nice.
Yes, thank you. So bye, everybody. Thanks for coming to Mom Champ today. And thanks to Macarena. And we'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.
Bye.